Nobody is watching you, and that's the most freeing truth you'll ever hear. There's someone you once lost sleep over. Maybe it was a clumsy remark in a meeting, a message you sent and couldn't stop rereading. A moment you stood in front of the mirror and wondered, what are they thinking about me right now? You carried that question home, fed it through dinner, let it lie beside you until 2 inches the morning. Meanwhile, that person was sleeping just fine. Here's the truth nobody says out loud. For most of your life, you've been standing on a stage where the audience went home a long time ago. You're still performing, still rehearsing every move, every line for an empty room. The invisible audience. There's a simple but unsettling psychological study. Researchers asked students to put on an embarrassing shirt, then walk into a room full of people. Afterward, they were asked, how many people do you think noticed what you were wearing? The average guess, around 50%. The actual number, fewer than 25%. And here's the more interesting part. When the people in that room were asked what they remembered, most of them said something like, I was worried I'd said something weird. I kept wondering if I was reacting the right way. Everyone was too busy managing their own stage. This is what psychologists call the spotlight effect. You believe you're standing under a beam of light, that everyone can see every misstep, every stumble, every unguarded expression. But no one has the attention to spare for that, because they're standing under their own spotlight too. Marcus Aurelius wrote this centuries before modern psychology had a name for it. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Read that again, not to agree or argue with it, just to sit with it. You love yourself more than anyone, yet you hand other people the power to decide whether you're worth anything. You'd never give them that power if they asked for it directly, but you give it away every single day without even noticing. Why your brain is starving for approval. The human brain was shaped by millions of years of evolution inside small tribes. And in that world, being cast out of the group wasn't a social inconvenience. It was a death sentence, not as a metaphor, as a literal outcome. So when you're criticized, ignored, or left out of a conversation, that same ancient alarm system fires. You feel it in your chest, a tightening, an urge to run, or explain, or smooth everything over. Epictetus would say, that's not weakness, that's wiring. But he'd also say, just because your brain sounds the alarm doesn't mean the threat is real. The tribe isn't sending you into the wilderness because you said something awkward on a Zoom call. The actual cost of being disliked, in most cases, is far lower than what your nervous system is insisting it is. And yet the performance continues. You say, I'm fine, when you're not. You agree with opinions you don't hold to avoid friction. You make yourself smaller in rooms where you're actually the most capable person present. Then you go home and wonder why you never feel truly understood. The answer is painfully simple. Because you've never let anyone actually see you, the real price. There's a version of your life that hasn't been lived. Not because you lack ability, but because somewhere over the years you learned to compress yourself, to become safe enough not to invite judgment. The opinion you swallowed in a meeting because the room had already reached its consensus. The project you never brought up after someone reacted with indifference. The relationship you stayed in long after it was hollow because ending it seemed unkind. Each of those moments had a price, not visible at the time, but compounding like interest on a debt you don't remember taking out. And the most insidious part is that this pattern never introduces itself honestly. It disguises itself as maturity, as tact, as not wanting to make things difficult. Making yourself smaller is not a kindness, it's a slow disappearance. Seneca wrote, Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est. Everything is foreign to us, time alone is ours. When you spend that finite time managing your image in other people's eyes, you are spending the one currency that can never be earned back. Nobody is coming. This might be the hardest thing to hear. Nobody is coming. Not to rescue you from the circumstances holding you back. Not to hand you the motivation you've been waiting for. Not to offer the apology that would finally let you exhale and move on. Nobody is coming. And that is not a tragedy. It's the most clarifying truth you may ever accept. There's a kind of waiting that nobody names because it has become too ordinary. You wait for someone to notice how hard you're working. You wait for conditions to become good enough before starting the thing you've been meaning to start. Waiting has its own seduction. If you're waiting, you can't fail yet. If you haven't tried, you haven't been rejected. Standing at the edge of cold water and telling yourself you'll jump when the conditions are right feels safer than jumping. But the conditions will never be perfect, and while you wait, the water doesn't warm, time just passes. The closure you've been waiting on from someone who hurt you, what if they never come? What if the explanation never feels like enough? Closure is not something another person gives you, it's something you grant yourself. A private act of deciding that the story has taught you what it had to teach. You close the door yourself. You don't wait for them to knock. Epictetus began his life as an enslaved man. He could not change his chains. He couldn't wait for someone to come and hand him the inner freedom he built. He built it himself, in the only domain that was always his own mind. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. Stop performing, start building. There's a version of you that only exists when people are watching, carefully edited, skilled at framing, managing impressions, presenting well. Not entirely fake, but so heavily filtered, it only resembles the real person at the surface. The gap between those two versions is where your energy goes. Marcus Aurelius called the authentic self the inner citadel, a place within you that external circumstances cannot reach unless you open the gate. Your values, your commitments, your character, no one can take those from you, but you can abandon them, and performance is exactly that kind of abandonment. The shift begins with a different question. Instead of asking, "How does this look?" you start asking, "Does this align with what you actually value? With who you're trying to become?" Building requires privacy, not secrecy, but privacy. There's a difference. Secrecy hides things because they can't survive exposure. Privacy protects things because they need space to become real before they're ready to be shared. Like a seed before the tree, like a commitment before the result. When you announce every intention before doing anything, you leak the energy that building requires. Social approval becomes a substitute for the harder satisfaction of actually finishing something. Seneca wrote, "Be silent for the most part, or say only what is necessary, and in few words." In an age of constant self-broadcasting, that may be the most countercultural advice still standing. Marcus Aurelius wrote most of the meditations for himself, not for publication, not for posterity, for the private work of becoming a better man. He was arguably the most powerful person on earth at the time, and he spent his private hours not polishing his image, but quietly examining his own character. Unglamorous, unseen, but compounding into something no performance could ever replicate. Coming home to yourself. Choosing yourself is not a moment, it's a practice. It looks like honest boundaries, not walls built from fear, but clear lines drawn from self-respect. You stop explaining your no until the explanation is longer than the request deserved. It looks like learning to tell two feelings apart that are easy to confuse, the discomfort of being genuine and actual guilt. They are not the same thing. When you hold a boundary and your brain starts drafting an apology, pause and ask, "Am I actually wrong? Or am I just uncomfortable with the unfamiliar feeling of being honest?" It looks like forgiving yourself for the years spent performing, for the boundaries you didn't hold, for the version of yourself you set aside to keep someone else comfortable. You were doing what you knew with what you had at the time. Now you know more. And finally, it looks like silence that no longer frightens you. Someone who has genuinely chosen themselves can sit with their own thoughts, their own questions, their own company, and find it enough. Not always peaceful, but enough. They're no longer running from themselves. Nobody cares about you the way you thought they did. Let that truth free you. The freedom you've been searching for was never in their hands. It was always in yours. If this reached something in you, subscribe. The best of what you're capable of is still ahead.